Richie Knucklez is what they call me, my nickname. This is my daughter Faith, and that's Faith Knuckles. And down the table, I don't think we've ever met, me and this gentleman.
Stephen Kleisath's my name, South Florida.
Stephen Kleisath, he's going to be playing Ms. Pac-Man, Turbo Ms. Pac-Man, and Mario Brothers. Awesome. And are you going to be playing as Mario or Luigi?
Depends if somebody plays with me.
That's what she said. Right here next to me is Mr. Ed Heemskirk, and I know him on a friend basis. He is one of the best, if not the best, Cuber player on the planet. What is your longest marathon on Cuber, Mr. Ed?
68.5 hours.
68.5 hours on a single token, and we all know this to be true. And I don't know if you guys know what goes on in the world of Cuber, but the Cuber marathon is it's pretty intense. And
we
then,
also thank him for his service as he is an Air Force man.
yes, he served. Yeah. Jumping over my beautiful daughter to this guy here. I don't know if anybody ever has heard of this guy before, but this gentleman is Mr. Bill Mitchell, and he's here tonight to answer some questions about, I'm sure you guys have tons of questions to ask Bill. Bill was the star of the movie, what was it, Joystick? Yes. Yeah. And Chasing Ghosts. And Frag, is that it? And there's another movie too, about Empire Arcadia. Weren't you the guy in Empire Arcadia yeah, with the power glove? All right, I'll move down the line. And then next to him we got, okay, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, he wanted me to make sure that I mentioned that he's the video game player of the century.
Move down the
I forgot. Anytime you mention Billy's name, you have to add video game player of the century. All right, so after Bill, then we got, again, another guy that you don't have to introduce is Mr. Todd Rogers. They call him many things, but Mr. Activision is the one that I think most people know him by.
Roger.
And Todd is going to be playing Pac-Man Championship Edition.
Actually, we're running a contest for the most points in 5 minutes.
Most points in 5 minutes. Sounds like fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. And also too, next to him is Mr. David Race. David Race, if you guys don't know, is the fastest Perfect Pacman champion.
He lives up to his name, David Race.
Yes, it's ironic that his name is David Race.
And he is a Marine for life, U.S. Marine. Right.
Again, thank you for serving our country. And then next to him is another close friend of mine. He's been up to New Jersey a few times to play Tron, Mr. David Cruz, who is the world record holder on Tron. Come on, that's a big deal. Yeah. And he cruises in to all these events to drive us crazy and tweak around with the control panel. I should know. He's very, very particular about his control panels. And today you are going to be doing what? A Perfect Pacman?
We're going to Perfect Pacman.
A Perfect Pacman for David Cruz. So make sure you watch that. And last but not least, Mr. Are we ready? Keith Swanson. Mr. Keith Swanson.
So well known for Gorf.
He is going to be playing Gorf. Mr. Here he comes in. Dun, dun, dun,
Number one!
yeah.
Number one!
Let's get ready to rumble! Nice. All right, that is an entrance. That is an entrance. Keith Swanson. Look at this. Wow. Yes. All right. I've been upstage. Nice. What time is Keith Swanson going to start playing golf? Gorf. Probably around 4 o'clock he's going to start playing Gorf.
You're done at 10.
And Todd said he'll be done at 10. All right, so I am so unprepared for this. We flew in, and it was one of those things that, would you come up and do a panel discussion? So the first thing I'd like to ask anybody out there is, does anybody have any questions for anybody up here on the panel first? Let's get that out of the way, because the last panel that we did, we were way late and we went over on time. So
First hand went up there.
First hand went up, right there.
This is Todd Rogers that I'm in compared to Gorf.
Good question. Yeah, I can play it at any given time. It's not a game that I really have to learn to go back to. The only issue I have after not playing it for a long duration is just the finger trigger. I have a Gorf at my house, but it's on the hard ROM set, so I don't play it because I was just telling Keith earlier that if you play the hard ROM set versus the easy ROM set, it's like two different games, and you just screw yourself mentally playing the hard ROM, then all of a sudden transitioning to the easy ROM set. But yeah, it's easy.
That's like a common question. Usually when somebody's at a championship level, they can play any game at any time and have fun and show off, but to be able to play and unseat the best competitor or the next best competitor, I mean, you don't. I mean, you have to play it a lot. I mean, but in order to play and show off and have fun in front of a group of people, you can do that at any time.
Yeah, I know last year.
Well, that applies to the Pac-Man. Explain about the Jap when you went to Japan and how you played the Pac-Man and how the mazes were different. And when you're used to playing a certain series of maze patterns, and then when you all of a sudden, oh wait a minute, this is on a different ROM set.
Yeah.
You have.
I was on TV and I did an interview, and there's 3 Pac-Mans, and I'm playing one, and it's just like here, and I'm playing and I'm running through it, and they film it. Now it's time for me to do an interview, and I'm on camera. So I do the interview, and they say, now will you give us a demonstration? Sure. I turned around and played with somebody on that one, so I played this one. Well, this was the advanced chip, where the second board plays like the 5th board. Well, I played the first board. The first board plays like the second board, but I didn't know that, and I start playing, and I go into the bottom corner, 2 corners, and something's wrong. All of a sudden, I bail out. I'm on Japanese TV. I would have got nailed on the second corner of the first board. So then I had to just sit there and play real careful, pretend like I knew what I was doing, and I didn't. I was real careful grouping it. It took me 5 minutes to do a board that should take a minute. And when I'm all said and done, I'm like dripping in sweat, like, oh man, I was on TV and I couldn't show it. Next question.
Starting left to right, you guys are all known for obviously, arcade, legend, mythology, whichever. What is your favorite home system that you, of all time, or that you still currently play?
Excellent question.
Don't be bashful, you gotta tell the truth.
I mean, I'm really into the Nintendo system, so I started with the NES, Super NES, and N64. So, I mean, the entire Nintendo system, those are my favorites. Right now it's 3DS that I'm really into, that I can just pick it up, play anytime.
Do you have Street Pass on? So I'll totally pick you up right now.
I didn't bring my 3DS with me.
Will you?
Great question, too. I can't wait to answer this one.
It's like any console, the favorite one. Well, as a kid, I remember probably one of my favorite was we had Intellivision. Years ago, like playing. As far as modern ones, Xbox 360. And as far as the classic, like I said, television, I also like to have like Atari 400 because I think the graphics are much better than 2600. Of course, 5200 stuff like that.
This will be a long answer here.
Yes.
It could be. I have 76 gaming systems at my house, 11,000 games, and my favorite game would be Dragster only because I'm most well known for it, and it's easy enough to play, and when you're done, you turn it off, switch off, you're done with the game, you put it back on, it's on again.
And how long does a game take?
5 seconds. Well, for some people. I mean, other people make 10 or 20 seconds depending upon your ship. 2600 is my favorite. Only because it was the most appealing when I was growing up. I had Pong in 72 and the Odyssey system, but the Atari really gravitated towards me.
I've actually never owned a home game system. I've had a lot of them sent to me by manufacturers. For example, when they came out with the Xbox, when they came out with Pac-Man, they asked me to test it to see how authentic it was to the original version. So my point is they send it to me. I've been sent various ones. And I won't lie to you, I get them, and I appease them by playing it. I never really play it or get good at it, and either my son or daughter always steal it anyway.
What's your favorite game system? What's your favorite one? Do you play a lot? Super Mario Brothers, right?
Super Mario Brothers?
Yeah, she loves Super Mario Brothers.
This is a great question because this ties in something really wonderful. I don't know if you guys remember the game Yar's Revenge.
Oh, yes.
So I have, if anyone's not familiar with what I do, I have 2 arcades in New Jersey and close to well over 500 arcade cabinets. And in the arcade cabinets, probably around 300 of them are brand new, minty fresh, you know, restored, ready to go, and another 200 that are just triples and doubles of Pac-Man. I probably have 40 Donkey Kongs, and they're just sitting in storage. So what I recently had done, I had 4 Kickmans, and Kickman, if anybody doesn't know, is orange and yellow, and it was an empty cabinet. So I know if anyone up here is going to throw boogers at me for doing this, but there was nothing left to it. So what I did is I turned the Kickman into a Yar's Revenge arcade cabinet because it's yellow and orange. Made a custom marquee, put a 2600 inside of it, and basically hacked the joystick, which a lot of people will have you believe it's an analog stick. It isn't. The 2600 is just switches, and made an arcade version of Yar's Revenge. And at my arcade, the Yar's Revenge gets so much play. People walk in and they see that game and they're just like unbelievable, and it takes up time, so people get to play that. So for my answer to that question is Yar's Revenge. Second part of that question, there's a movie coming out, if anyone doesn't know, about the NES. I think it's called, Todd, can you help me with this? I think you're in the movie. NES, the guy that's going around the country collecting NES cartridges?
Yeah, I don't recall what the name of the movie is, but he's still in the middle of procuring all the
Nintendo things. So I came up with an idea, and they're going to come and film at my arcade. A lot of people come into my arcade and say, how come you don't have a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out? Now, everybody that's in this room is probably big into arcades, so there's no such thing as a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. There was a Punch-Out, and there was a Super Punch-Out, but there was no Mike Tyson Punch-Out. Everybody would argue with me, no, remember Super Macho Man? And I'm like, no, Super Macho Man was in Super Punch-Out. Anyway, make a long story short, for this movie, we are going to make a custom Mike Tyson's Punch-Out arcade machine, and in the machine, the guy is going to come to the arcade, and he's going to play, it's going to be in a Donkey Kong style machine. All of the artwork is going to look just like a Punch-Out, but it's going to be single monitor, and when you open up the coin door, there will be a Nintendo NES inside it, and the guy is going to open it up, and hopefully Billy will sign it, Todd will sign it, Walter Day will sign it, and in the movie, he'll pull it out to buy it and say, I want to buy your Mike Tyson's cartridge, and in it will be signed by all the, you know, the bigwigs of the industry, and that will be part of the movie, is he buys my Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So the answer to my question is two-part question, Yar's Revenge and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Richie, as long as your answer was, mine is short. I don't play any home games for the most part. Don't have a favorite, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's a good question, because there's so many good consoles and so many that were made, home consoles. If I had to choose, I'd probably choose Nintendo 64 when they used that first, what was it, John Madden football. Used to play that a lot with a lot of friends. I'd say that system's probably the best system. I don't even own the Xbox 360 or any of that. I'm waiting for the new release this year, and I think I'll purchase one.
Not much of a home system guy recently. Obviously, growing up, loved the classic home systems, ColecoVision, Atari, Commodore 64, all of Intellivision, Sega. Most recently for me would be a couple years back, I was finding myself playing the sports games on the Wii, particularly tennis I love. So the Wii and the Xbox, Halo, like that kind of stuff, I can't do the hand in front of me, I get dizzy. the first person and third person, what does that qualify? One of those.
I believe first person.
First person, yeah. The Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, however, that is awesome. I'm happy to hear that because I used to play that on the home system.
How many people beat Mike Tyson? Whooped his ass, right? And I kind of felt like I was able to afterwards, right?
But Richie's exactly right. That was not in the arcade. You had Super Punch-Out and you had Punch-Out, and some of those characters were in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but it was never in the arcade, so that's a great idea.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, when you guys were first, you were first learning your game that you were specialized at, how many hours a day, how many were playing it, and then versus like nowadays, you have to still
Nowadays, 0.
Nowadays, older.
I mean, no, I mean, like, I don't play because, You know, I got a house and a wife and a kid and business and all. For me to take a game and say, I'm going to get this good at the amount of hours it takes to put in, I simply don't have that. Whereas when I was a teenager, I mean, I could easily play 40 hours a week. And that's what it took to get that good at different games.
This is the reason why he talks mostly at the con-off events.
And that's the difference between an online game and an arcade game. An arcade game, you have to, like you say, pump the quarters and to get good, be proficient, to have people behind you watching. Whereas an online game, you're playing at your own progression. And no one's really there unless you play like Halo or Gears of War to see how good or bad you are at the game. Yeah. And there are times where, like you said, you're on there 12 hours a day, and if you're on a team, you're going to get reimbursed for it because you're being sponsored.
Right, and way long ago, you played Pac-Man up to a certain point. It would take an hour to get where you want. You try this one thing, you die, you got to put a quarter and play again. Everybody gets a cheat nowadays and use main. Richie coined the term a long time ago. In other words, when I had to learn how to play games, I had to learn it, we had to do it in the raw. You know, there wasn't any technology to help us.
What's the record?
Well, on that, a few particular games there was. On Donkey Kong there was. Can I see level 22?
You
got
got
about 3 hours.
And when you did the third elevator stages, every time you played it, you had to get to it again.
Right.
Yeah, no saving safe states and none of that stuff. For me, pole position is the game that I'm most proud of, that I play pole position. And if you want to play at the level of getting up to 67,000, where the 2 world record holders are, I own an arcade, and you could tell how bad my business is by how good I am at the games. Because if no one's coming in the door, I'll be playing the games. And I must have played, Todd, you can back me up on this stuff. I must have played thousands of games of pole position to get up to 67,000 on pole position. That was...
Now that's how much he played. Now Mike Flood, who I think is the best pole position player, I watched him get 67,000 playing with his feet.
That's bullshit, but okay.
I was there, I saw it.
You're confusing him with your best friend, Mark Halpiker.
No. He steered with his feet, and he did the gas pedal with a stick, and he did it inside the original Twin Galaxies in Ottumwa, Iowa. He was barely born then.
We call that marble rock come from.
Marble.
Yeah, I know it depends on the game.
Actually, he got 66.
Like for dragsters, there was so many times you blow your engine, or you go too quick, reset. And I can't tell you how many thousands of hours I have in the game. And it's a quick, easy game. It's not like something you have to pay for hours.
I was going to say, don't feel sorry for him, because when you play 3 hours to a point and you screw it up and you can play again, when he messes up his game, it takes 5 seconds.
Segueing from that thought, do you guys feel that the current generation of gamers and video gaming have it too easy with the unlimited lives, continues, and stuff like that that exists today?
Man, it started with Game Genie. We were the Game Genies when we played. Now when Game Genie came out, it's like, just put a code in, I can be as good as you. It's like, really?
But everything in life is easier. It's like, you know, when you left the house and you had to call, then you had to check in. Now people got cell phones. I mean, people went to college. Now people go to college, they got their own apartment, they got a car. Yeah, they do have it easier, but everything in life is easier.
All right, rock on.
All of you guys are obviously super competitive with arcades. Does that filter into your everyday life?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Every aspect, like in the business world, and I guess it's part of, I don't know, I guess it's part of the culture that I live in. I mean, my son is the most ridiculously competitive kid in the world.
Prediction, his son will be a pro football player.
He trains like with intensity. When he was 9 years old, he told me he wanted to run a marathon. I told him no. And he wanted to run a half a marathon. I told him no, so we settled on a third of a marathon. He ran 9 miles. And it stunk because I had to run with him.
Can I interject about what happened with us in North Jersey? There's a food chain in North Jersey called ShopRite. It's one of the biggest food chains or supermarket chains in the world. And I have a friend who's the CEO of that chain. I brought.
Let me set the stage.
Set the stage.
I told him that, without lying, I haven't made $50 off hot sauce because of video games, ever. I do private labels, I give them to people, I sign them. It's kind of stupid for me to sign a napkin and hand it to somebody, so I'll sign a bottle. And I says to him, I've had everybody tell me, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and yeah, please don't do it. I just, bull. So he finally came to me and says, no, I got a buddy who's the CEO this grocery chain. Yeah.
Have you guys heard of ShopRite? Yeah. ShopRite's humongous.
So I gave him the yeah treatment. I don't want to hear it. And he told his buddy, and his buddy gave the yeah treatment, and it got lost. A year later, the guy called, and he said, "Remember that appointment I promised you?" Yeah. He said, "I'm ready."
Let's do it.
So
we're working on getting.
I've never made a nickel off.
We're working on getting Rickies in every ShopRite across North Jersey. And Bill made me. What's my title?
We're gonna make one up.
We got to make up a title.
Like regional
manager of the Northeast of Ricky's hot sauce. So I trickle down. I'm going to be a hot sauce mogul. I'm going to be pulling the bottle out and.
But does it translate to the rest of your life? He's a Marine. He's used to shooting people down.
One thing in the Marines, is if you're going through boot camp, or I mean, if you have the mentality that it's going to get too tough and you're going to quit, you're not going to make it. You know, you get no matter what point of you get in your life, whether it's going through boot camp, whether it's life, it's like you got to tell yourself, I'm not going to quit, because I'm going to quit. You know, I'm going to fail at pretty much anything I put my mind to. So you just got to have that mentality.
To fail is to take the easy way out.